The 80s gave us a real who's who of celebrities giving us advice on life and safety and shit. We had siblings telling us when to have sex, there was Mr. T telling us to be somebody. I know I sure did. I went out and picked a fight with the biggest Italian boxer I could find. Corey Haim even fell in love with Corey Haim in Me, Myself, and I. The only way to keep Corey Feldman out of it was for Haim to mention only himself, not once, but 3 times in the title. And now we have Gary Coleman's For Safety's Sake, which I'm sure is only a 30-second video of someone telling you, for safety's sake, stay the hell away from Gary Coleman. Is this a little tasteless, considering that Gary is no longer with us? Whatever, it's still Gary Coleman hosting a children's safety video. People may die, time moves on, but this will still be hilarious. And if you're offended, just pretend that I'm talking about Webster. Either Gary is creating a woman out of scratch, or this is the biggest, most inconvenient Commodore 64 controller I've ever seen. Already, this special is everything I'd hoped for and more. I don't know if I like the looks of someone sitting in a dark room all by themselves and watching security footage of children playing on the playground. Especially when that person is Gary Coleman. Never fear, Gary's not the only TV star they roped into this. It also features Amy Foster of Punky Brewster. But you may also remember her as Girl from that one episode of Garfield and Friends. Bobby Jacoby even stops by, who most people might remember from Knots Landing, as well as Different Strokes, but not me. No, in my head, he'll always be Billy from the Illusion episode of Manimal. I see a lot of good safety going on here. If you're white, always make sure you dribble with a soccer ball. And if you find someone dead, definitely look to make sure that the camera is turned on. Don't stand on melted butter when doing the dishes. Plus, if a friend has a heart attack, make sure they're good and warm. And if that doesn't work, just stand and give the wah 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 face. But I'm not the safety expert. That's Gary's job. What does he think?
In this program, we're going to show you how to survive outdoors, away from home. Living in the city isn't easy. But most of what we'll learn today is common sense.
Says the kid who hitchhiked to a stranger's apartment. I can never be duct taped to a bed the same way again. But that's just because Gary didn't follow the rules.
The important thing for you to learn in any emergency is stay calm, keep cool, and think.
Just so you know, these are also the rules you want to follow for beating E.T. on the Atari.
It's important that you are the expert when it comes to your neighborhood.
Wait, why do I have to be the expert? Can't, like, a cop or a doctor be the expert? Or do they not have this pristine hand-drawn map of the neighborhood?
Draw a map of the entire area around your home where you're allowed to go by yourself.
Are you drawing a neighborhood map or the layout of the Ghostbusters game?
Mark all the places you're allowed to go. School, church, friends' homes, stores, playgrounds, and libraries.
Yeah, you definitely want to go to a library. The homeless and the sex offenders will definitely help you out for sure. After all of this, you'll know which houses are safe to rob.
Well, that's my neighborhood. Picasso couldn't have done it better.
Well, it was equally as confusing, so I suppose he's right.
Now you give it a shot. Fill out the pages labeled Neighborhood Survival Map in your guide. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere.
Alright, I guess I can start jotting some of this down. Okay. There. I drew a bear grilling. I see we're back and we're creepily watching a girl make a phone call.
Jill should have a quarter for the phone. Your telephone company may only want 15 or 20 cents, but take a quarter. In an emergency, 1 coin is much easier to handle than 2 or 3.
But now we're in the year 2013, where it's much more than 10 cents, and you're lucky if you even find a payphone.
First tell the operator what kind of emergency you have.
Help, help! Sam's been kidnapped by a crazy-ass father wanting to replace his dead kid. A police officer stops to give us some advice, which is nice, but really, he should be helping out this kid in the background whose bike is about to get stolen.
Practice memorizing descriptions. For instance, what just happened behind me?
I know exactly what happened. Someone had their bike stolen 10 feet away from a cop who was too busy shooting the shit with Gary Coleman. Next we move on to the long trek home from school, whereas in all of these specials, everyone is out to kidnap you.
You should practice the buddy system whenever you leave the house. Besides, it's more fun than being alone.
Yeah, just look for the blondest grade schooler you can find, follow them, and taunt them with a spider. That way they'll really give a shit if you get taken.
I said keep cool.
Oh, is that you, Lord? A creeper in a sweet convertible attempts to sell Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill, that's funny.
I hope Jack and Jill were paying attention.
Their names actually are Jack and Jill? Just strain yourselves coming up with that one? Anyway, the creeper wants to give them his dog, but they turn him down. Not because he's a stranger, but because he's bald. So might as well move on to the girl 15 feet in front of them.
Turn the tape off and write down everything you remember about the car, the driver, and what happened.
Well, that's easy. When Michael Ironside offers to give you a dog, make sure you take it from him outside the car. That way he won't kidnap you, and you won't be leaving a dog alone with a pedophile. I didn't really write that. I drew a cowboy fucking a pig. But you're right, though. They should probably call the cops. And once you're done, bicycle lessons.
The first rule is to have a bike that fits. Having a bike that's too big for you is like a pilot flying a big plane he's not qualified to fly.
So it's hilarious?
On the other hand, if the bike is too small, it's hard to steer.
Basically, kids, what I'm saying is, don't be a fucking idiot. This sort of feels like I'm watching Double Switch, but without the booby traps. Damn, Corey Haim, how could you let this happen? Look, you're on the same disc. Oh, you're still talking? Don't you have better things to do?
Watch out for cars. Even parked cars can sneak up on you.
Yes, I know, officer, but seriously, a girl has been kidnapped. Don't you think you should go investigate that?
Check with your local police department to find out the regulations in your community. Tell them Gary sent you.
Yeah, tell them Gary sent you. That way they'll think you attacked your wife. Or that you're watching children from a citywide surveillance system.
One time I was swinging, and this guy, Bobby, dared me to jump off the swing. So I did, and I hurt my ankle and couldn't pitch for the playoffs.
And what did you learn? If you don't want to hurt your ankle, land on your face.
We used to play football on the grass, but Tuesday the grass was being watered, so we played on the concrete. I went out for a long bomb, and I came down on my elbow. I broke my arm.
The other team intercepted the pass.
This affects me somehow. But the most hilarious part comes when Gary straight up just decides to fuck with the neighborhood kid.
Say, Jack, I need you to show us how to handle a dog that looks like it might bite.
Sure, yeah. I'm gonna what?
You heard me. Go poke it with a stick.
Trust me.
2 words spoken by Gary Coleman that will always result in laughter.
Well, what do I do?
Try to stay calm and talk to the dog while walking slowly out of his territory.
I know all this already. I learned how to handle angry dogs from watching Lethal Weapon 3. You carry dog biscuits in your pocket, wrestle around with them a bit, and munch on the treats together. It's easy. Isn't that right, Gary?
Never run or ride a bicycle or skateboard past loose or barking dogs.
Or how about when I'm just walking around the neighborhood and some big dog comes barking and running up to me because his dumbass owner didn't leave him in the yard, nor did he keep him on a leash, thus nearly giving me a fucking heart attack. But he's not done fucking with this kid some more.
Now, Jack, do you know what to do when he bites you? Okay, just kidding.
Gary wants to give you rabies.
If you are bitten, wash the bite with soap and water and get medical help immediately.
And these rules also work when bitten by Gary Coleman.
Here, Fido.
Don't do that, Jack. Never feed a strange dog.
He's not strange, Gary. A little unusual, maybe.
What am I supposed to take away from that? Do I feed the friendly dog or not? Oh, I see we've moved on.
There are so many temptations around that they even have their own name. Attractive nuisances.
Ooh, wicked Kimberly Byrne. Are you still peeved at her from when she went out with that racist? Next, it's time to play the safety game, where everyone gets molested.
Someone's at your front door and he says his name is Dr. Jones and he needs to make an emergency phone call to the hospital.
If he doesn't have a whip, a fedora, or the Shankara stones, turn him away immediately. especially if he's Victor Salva, director of Clown House. Oh, I see Gary has a friend. It's okay, kids. Now we have 2 people watching you while you play in the park.
Now let's pretend that you've been bitten by a poisonous snake or spider.
Oh, I know this one. Thanks, George. You taught me so much.
If you live in or visit an area of the country that has lots of poisonous creatures, you should carry a snake bite kit in your first aid kit.
Or maybe you should just move away from the snake-infested areas. Ah, good. It's just Bobby dressed up like Tom Sawyer, who's about to turn into the Incredible Hulk.
Just be sure you know what you're putting in your mouth.
That's the same rule I use at my Aunt Maribel's house.
I don't know what that means, nor do I know what Gary was putting in his mouth at his aunt's house. Regardless of what Gary says, remember all the rules for emergency.
The best thing to do is contact your local Red Cross. They have all sorts of courses for emergencies, including life-saving and first aid.
He's not getting paid enough to read the other 2 entries. Plus, there's the main rules as well.
Well, the first thing I'm gonna do is stay calm and keep cool, as always.
Right, Jack.
It's taking all of their willpower not to call him a kiss-ass. Whoa, whoa. Gary has a contraption that can just spray water in a random person's face? Why are we not watching a special about that? And remember, kids, if your victim is a doll, it's technically legal to have sex with it.
Listen for sounds of breathing. And you can use your cheek to feel for the victim's breath. Check a full 5 seconds to be absolutely sure.
But if you wait longer than 5 seconds... What's this clock up here? The 80s version of 24 was really boring. Damn, he's still not breathing. Oh, here's your problem. It's a doll.
Watch the victim's chest and stop blowing when his chest is full of air.
No, that's when you keep blowing. Well, at least that's what Dr. Young taught me, and I trust him way more than Gary Coleman. Hey, Gary, I think your blue screen of death is going a little crazy over there, buddy.
Your job in this kind of emergency is to give the victim what is lacking. That is, what he needs most.
To become a real boy? I see someone's looking for the tickle spot. Maybe he'd be more apt to wake up if you switched out the church lady for tasty Wendy Peppercorn. Oh shit, what's going on? Quick, look for the tape's tickle spot. Give it a dog biscuit. Call the park police. Wait, what's the rules again? Keep calm, stay cool, or is it keep cool and stay calm? Oh, damn you annoying ass internet memes.
But whatever you do not practice on a real person.
Well, you heard the man, Lloyd. You gotta be my test dummy. And just so you know, I am ADD as shit, so all I'm taking away from this is the word remember, which is flashing its northern lights at me. Crap, we left Amy out in the sun too long.
Water and sun go together, but being in the sun too long can cause sunstroke, heat exhaustion. The idea in these cases is to cool the victim down and get them to rest.
Step 1. Send astronauts into space to reignite the dying sun. But first, tend to Bobby, who seems to be dying of hypothermia. Maybe you shouldn't have splashed water on him then, scumbag.
Most people think a kid's life is easy. You and I know it's not.
True, except aren't you 35? Oh, that's the end of it. Wait a minute. Frank Miller? Or was this made before or after he went insane? Oh, and Officer Big Fella? Subtle. About as subtle as the Stills guy, whose name is Photo. And Lindsay Price, of Coupling USA fame? Well, that is her, by golly. And voice actor Phil Proctor, he's a way better Phil than the last one I had to deal with. So I hope you learned your lesson here, which is that it's okay to have a room in your house dedicated to spying on neighborhood kids, splashing water in their face, and convincing them to approach possible rabid dogs. Thanks, Gary.